Procrastination. It sucks, and it's time to do something about it. When I ask people what their biggest creative challenge is, it comes up a lot. Judy left me a comment that I think many of us can relate to. She wrote, "My biggest problem? Procrastination. I research techniques and tips. I buy the right brush, paint, color, tool, etc. I look at how other artists do it. I spend a lot of time doing everything except the actual art. And when I finally settle in to do my thing, I regret not spending more time doing my art. I promise myself, tomorrow I will create instead of surf. I blame my procrastination on the internet for opening up so many options." Sound familiar? Well, let's talk about why this happens, and I'm going to give you a few tips on how we can overcome it. First off, don't blame the internet. Blame that voice in your head that I call the monkey. It uses procrastination to stop you from realizing your full potential, from having adventures, from taking risks, and possibly changing your life. The monkey thrives on fear and doubt. And its job is to convince you that preparation is safer than action. This voice tells you that you need the perfect conditions to start, that you need more information, or that your work just won't be good enough. It feeds on your insecurities and it magnifies them, and it makes the whole act of creation feel just overwhelming and difficult and something you're just not prepared to do. You can't fight the internet, but you can fight that voice in your head. And the first step is to recognize it for what it is. It's a trickster that's trying to keep you stuck. And by understanding its tactics, you can start to overcome it. So why not use this weekend, say, to grab some of your art supplies that are sitting in that closet and put them to work. Set up a small, specific kind of goal for yourself. Maybe it's a single drawing in a sketchbook, or maybe it's a quick painting, watercolor, or maybe it's just experimenting with colors and textures. Maybe it's just doing some swatches. But the key is to start, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. Remember, the monkey is going to get quieter the more you create. Each piece of art, no matter how small, it's a victory over that voice. Embrace your imperfections. Embrace the learning process and celebrate your progress, and know that each step you take forward is a step towards silencing that monkey and realizing your creative potential. So take control now, turn off the distractions, silence the monkey, log off YouTube, and make something. And you'll find that the more you do, the easier it becomes. Your future self will thank you. Now let's explore some practical steps to help you to overcome procrastination and to get into the creative flow. Okay, first I would say acknowledge the struggle. I mean, a lot of artists face this same challenge. It's a common issue that even seasoned creators deal with, so you're not alone. I have it all the time. I want to get to doing something, but then I find some side distraction, some rabbit hole I can go down, and it just takes away that anxiety that I might have about whether I'm going to do something well or not. So acknowledge it. It's part of the creative process. We all do it. Artists always have. It's just a step. It's not the only step, though. But if it is a step, you have to get past. Okay. The next is what I would call the illusion of productivity. When you go in and start researching techniques, when you're watching videos on YouTube, when you're going to the art supply store or going to Amazon and placing orders for new tools, that can feel like, yeah, I was productive, but it can also just be a form of procrastination. It's as if you went to the grocery store and bought groceries, but never cooked anything. You got some stuff done, but it's not the important stuff. And you need to acknowledge that it's easy to get caught up in preparation and checklists and just buying or gathering. It's easy to do all that and forget that your real purpose is to actually create something, and it's going to be much more fun. And yes, there's going to be a little bit more tension around it. Yes, there's going to be some judgment around it. But that's how you grow. You don't grow by filling your closets with plastic bags full of unopened art supplies. Third, I would say set small goals, achievable goals. Start with something that you know you can do. It could be as simple as saying, you know what, I'm going to draw for 5 minutes a day. I'm going to carry a sketchbook with me, and when I am doing X, I'll draw while I do it. When I'm sitting in the parking lot, when I'm waiting for my dog in the dog park, when I'm watching a mindless TV show, I'm going to take 5 minutes a day and I'm going to do that little thing. Just a small step like that can start to build momentum, and it can make this whole process seem less daunting. You've broken the ice. You've started doing something, anything. Again, a small, achievable goal. Or you could even be a little bit more ambitious, but don't push it too far. Do something that you know that you can get done, something that will build on itself. The next thing is to limit distractions. If the internet is getting in your way, then say, I'm going to set a specific time that I can use the internet, and I'm going to use it for researching things, or that's going to be different from my creative time. So I'm not going to confuse the two things. I want to go and spend 20 minutes looking at artists that inspire me on Instagram, and that's it. It's 20 minutes. And then I'm going to spend whatever time I spent doing that, doing something else. But limit it, gate it off. It doesn't mean you have to remove from your life altogether, but compartmentalize your activities and get rid of distractions that could happen during the times when you really set out to be creative and to make stuff, not just consume stuff. Another thing I would say is to give yourself a break and embrace, rather than be afraid of, imperfection. Imperfection. Creating art is a process, and it's okay to make mistakes. In fact, it's part of what you're supposed to be doing, is taking risks, experimenting, and failing. And through that failure, you learn. But if you're a perfectionist, that becomes a major barrier to ever starting. So you need to embrace the learning process. I've talked about perfectionism a lot here, and I probably will continue to be, because I never get it quite right. But perfectionism is a problem. And again, remember that perfection isn't the goal. And perfectionism actually isn't even about perfection, because perfectionism is about it never being perfect enough. That's another way that the monkey stops you from making progress. It says, well, why even bother? Or, well, let's not try something new. You haven't gotten this right. So remember, perfectionism is a barrier, and embracing imperfection is a way of dulling the power that perfection has on you. Another thing you might want to consider is accountability. There are lots of different ways that you can have some outside person or community help you by being a place where you can share your progress. I mean, it could be as simple as saying, you know what, I'm going to post on Instagram every day. Every day. Something. That need that you might have, or that feeling of obligation, might say, oh, I better do something just so I can post it. Maybe every day is madness, but maybe you have a friend who you can just say, hey, do you mind if I just snap a picture and send you a text of what it is I'm working on, and just for the sake of knowing that I have to do that, and being accountable. But also it can provide motivation, it can provide support, you can get really valuable feedback. Another thing is you can, this is pretty simple, use your calendar to make you accountable. In the marketing world, they call this gamification. Basically what you do is you commit to creating a certain number of days a week. You might say, I want to draw for 5 minutes, 4 days a week. And in your calendar, or maybe even in your paper calendar, just have a box where you check it off and keep that streak going. Keep crossing off the days that you did it. And you don't want to miss more than one or two of your appointments. But it allows you to just, feel accountable to something, even if it's just your calendar. For some people, I mean, I'm one of those people. I don't want to break my streak. I don't want to start back at zero again. So that's another way of doing it. Which leads me to my next point, which is about habit and routine, and just doing something on a regular basis, making art a regular part of your day. Because if you do, a couple things happen. One is when you're consistent in what you're doing, you get a little bit better every day. But also there isn't so much pressure on any given occasion, because you know you're going to do it again. So if you say, oh, my drawing sucked today, instead of saying, I suck, everything's terrible, you say, oh, I'll do better tomorrow, because you know there's going to be a tomorrow. So consistency, 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 turning it into a habit, and often what I call habit stack. I didn't call it habit stacking. Habit experts call it habit stacking, where you connect one habit to another. So I made a video showing how whenever I would make tea in the morning, I would stack the habit of drawing onto the habit of making tea. Every morning, I would make a cup of tea, and I would do a drawing of my teacup. It was just about consistency and habit. So try something like that out. Another thing I would think about is how you're thinking. What is the voice in your head? What language is it using to talk to you about being creative? Can you shift this vocabulary, your mindset, from I should create, I really should draw, really should get back to art, to I get to create, I get to make art, I get to play, I get to have fun. Turn it into a reward instead of a chore, into an adventure instead of an obligation. Just that little thing might be all you need. Another thing to think about is just how joyful creating can be, how happy it can make you feel. You know, when you do get around to making something, maybe write yourself a little note to remember, oh yeah, I actually really like doing this. It was actually really fun. And reflect a little bit about that, about what the reward for this is. The reward isn't having necessarily just done something amazing. It's just like, that was a good experience. I felt good about that. You know, and that little reward, that little reminder can fuel you. The next time you hit the wall, you can just say, oh yeah, that's right. I actually like doing this. Simple, but effective. And finally, I would say, be good to you. Be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Remember that you're not perfect. Everybody has off days. It's not an indication that you suck and that you'll never be able to do anything good again. It's just part of the creative process. There are up days and down days, growth, retrenchment, plateaus. They're all part of the process. Just don't be too hard on yourself, because if you are super hard on yourself, you give up. It's just not even worth getting involved, and then you back off. So instead, celebrate your victory. Celebrate your streaks. If your streak ended, celebrate the fact that you're getting back and starting a new streak. Whatever it is, you will make progress if you make it fun. Procrastination happens. It's part of life, but it doesn't necessarily have to be your forever status. Try a few of these strategies and try to overcome these barriers that have been holding you back. Embrace your creative journey. Have fun. It is a great way of living as opposed to a single project that you have to do. That's about it. I would say let's stop procrastinating now. If you found this helpful, check out other videos that I've given for advice for creative people. I'll put a playlist up here for that. And if you have a question that you'd like me to tackle, leave it in a comment below, and I'll look at it over. And if I have anything to say, maybe I'll make a video about that. And finally, I would say stop procrastinating and do something creative right now, whether it's a quick sketch, a splash of color, whatever it is, make something, just start. Your future self is going to thank you for breaking the ice and getting on with it. All right? Have fun, make some drawings, and I'll see you again next time.